Short introduction. This is Jordan from Jordan Teaches Jiu-Jitsu. I have a couple of questions for him, so I just go ahead. And my first question is, what are overall advices from you to get better in grappling?
Yeah, like my overall advice would be not to try to pick up like 1,000 different techniques, but like get really good at what's most important, which to me is the fundamentals. So, you don't need to know like 1,000 different half guard passes when, like the knee slide works great, and just making sure that your technique is perfect, because a lot of people are missing specific details about within their techniques, and they think that they have mastered it, but they haven't. So they move on to other things, thinking that collecting more techniques will make them better. But in reality, they need to perfect the techniques that they already learned or that they're learning. So yeah, because if you ask like a blue belt or even a purple belt or whatever it is to show you something very basic, they're probably going to be missing like certain details that are very important. But then like they might not want to learn that stuff as if like, oh, they already know it, but they don't. They want to learn other like cooler stuff, right? So yeah, for me, it's all about like perfecting fundamentals. That's what I teach like at the camp, for example, teaching the chokes that people probably already know those chokes, but now we're making them perfect, so you have to use less effort, and you can get the tap every time. So it's like that with every technique. I think it's always about perfection rather than gaining like just like endless amounts of different techniques. There's a lot of things out there, but some of them aren't as important as other techniques.
Do you have any advice how to sharpen such a basic technique?
I would say, just like doing your homework, like researching techniques. Like what I used to always do, I would watch a bunch of different instructionals on the same thing, and then I'd pick up like different details from different people and what they prioritize, how they do it, and you see different commonalities, and that's one thing that really helps. And then just like live drilling, like positional sparring, to really hone down on those as well, because when we roll, we go through all these different scenarios. Like there's so many things that happen, and it can be hard to focus on one specific thing where maybe you have a weakness in passing open guard. Well, you can drill that and get really good at passing open guard, where if you were just to do that during your rolls, you might not get the same focus, I guess it is, right? So yeah, I think situational sparring is really important to use what you're learning, and then figure out why is it not working, especially when you film it. Why is it not working what you're doing? Because there's always a reason, and finding the earliest reason why something goes wrong is so important. So for example, I learned to get really good at stopping the knee slide, because one of my the rolling partners back in the day, he would always hit knee slides on me constantly. It was so freaking frustrating. So I would try to learn all these like knee slide counters, and I thought that was the answer to it. But in reality, what it was is I need to stop giving up the underhook. That was the earliest moment I went wrong, right? So I learned to keep my elbow tight, and ever since then, people try to get underhooks on me, but they can't, because I'm so disciplined to keep my elbow tight. And I got that discipline from just endlessly getting knee slide passed on from him, and just getting so frustrated about it. And again, like learning that I need to be earlier within my defense. Not like, okay, now he's got an underhook, what do I do? It's no, I got to stop him from getting underhooks. So yeah, it's not so much about like figuring out counters to things that go wrong for you. It's about how to stop these things from happening in the first place, right? It's like, how do you escape an armbar? Don't get there in the first place, which is like kind of like, tough advice, but it's just reality. Don't leave your arms out there. That's a lot easier to do than it is to actually escape an armbar. Same with any submission, right? How do you escape a rear naked choke? Well, it's pretty hard to do, but if you just didn't get your back taken to begin with, you made sure that they didn't get around to your back, that you didn't expose your back to them. It's easier to do that. It's easier to be preventative than it is to be late in your escapes, because submissions are submissions for a reason, because you can't do anything about it, like if it's fully locked in. So the closer it gets to being fully locked in, the harder and harder it's going to be to get out. So you got to be way more preventative.
Okay. That is already some part of answer to the next question, but I want to emphasize it extra. Everybody reaches a plateau of skills at some point. Besides staying consistent, what would you suggest to improve your game?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, they plateau because they just get so stuck on what they're good at and don't want to explore other techniques and other like areas in jiu-jitsu. So like for me, what I would do is like back in the day, and I still do this now, where I'll like specialize in one thing. I'll just like do that for a long time. So for example, when I was a brown belt, my leg locks were very poor, and leg locks have become very popular. So I spent like probably 3 months, 4 months just doing like only leg locks when I was rolling, just nonstop leg locks. And then I became like good at them. And it was like during that time I was like a specialist. And then I just added them to my game and moved on to something else, like guillotines, for example. I was really bad at them too as a brown belt. I would just try to do guillotines nonstop, even though I couldn't do them. Like I was crafty at them. I would research how to do them, and then I just wouldn't give up. Like trying to figure out how do I actually get this to work, right? And then same thing, I would kind of specialize in that for a short period of time. And where people go wrong is they like find something that works for them, and they just stick with that forever, and they don't move on to something else. They become like specialists in something, but like. Want to be like specialist in every area, so you're not a jack of all trades, so you're a specialist in all trades. So where people can go wrong too is not kind of having that focus in certain areas where they don't focus on anything and they just do kind of whatever and kind of wing it. But I think it's the best thing to do is to focus on one area of what you want to improve in and spend a lot of time on that, and then move on to something else, because your training partners will pick up on it. Like you've been doing like, I don't know, maybe it's arm bars for like 3-4 months and just hitting arm bars nonstop. Well, now they're going to be pretty good at preventing the arm bar and at getting out of the arm bar. So it's better to move on to something else and get good at that. And then again, that specialty becomes just a tool in your game rather than just sticking with that, because how many people like are just like specialists on leg blocks and they don't do anything else, like a lot, and there's other areas in jiu-jitsu too where people just become specialists, but you should only be a specialist for so long and then move on and become specialist in that too.
Thank you. That answers a lot. And the next thing is, as you are traveling around and dealing with new people on a daily basis, how do you deal with bad sparring partners?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Like, well, for me, it's kind of easier because I can deal with them because I'm pretty strong and physical, so I can deal with that aspect of it. And I'm also like skilled, so I can deal with them that way. But things can still go wrong. Like I hurt my knee, during this camp because somebody, it was Muay Thai. I swept them, and then they tried to sweep me, but they kind of kept going after I'd already defended. And I'm not mad at them or anything, but I mean, they did hurt my knee, which sucked. It wasn't me that hurt it, like they hurt it. And it's a tough thing. How I deal with it would be different than how I recommend someone else deal with it, which I recommend someone else just talk to the person like, okay, you're going a little too hard, or that was like that hurt, that was a crank. Communication is like number one rather than retaliation. But so many people want to retaliate or just say nothing, and then sometimes people don't know that they're poor training partners, right? They don't know and they need to be told. I was like that back in the day. Like as a white belt, I'm like kind of ashamed of how like hard I went with everyone. Like if they're older or if they were like young or smaller, I always went so hard. I wanted to win so bad, but no one told me like, calm down, like don't roll so hard. I had to figure it out for myself, but I kind of thought that was the way you're supposed to roll because everyone at my gym like rolled so hard. And then I kind of started realizing, okay, I want to be a training partner that everyone wants to train with, and not just not just try to smash people. So I think a lot of people don't realize that they're poor training partners and they need to be told pretty much. And and if you tell someone and they take it the wrong way, I mean, just avoid bowling with them. But I think there's a way to talk to people too, which I feel like I'm pretty good at. Like you don't want to make them feel like they're an asshole or anything. You just want to let them know kindly that they're not being a great training partner. That's the big problem in jiu-jitsu is people that are just poor training partners for people, because proper training etiquette is so rarely taught and enforced in jiu-jitsu gyms, and I think that's a big priority because we're training, okay? We're training partners. We're training right now. We're not competing. We're not fighting. We need to keep each other safe and not make each other feel overly, punished. Like we don't want to put people through mass amounts of pain. At the same time, it is a combat sport, and it's not always going to feel good, but at the same time, we don't need to go overboard and just like hurt people and make them feel like, you know, like they're suffering the whole time either. So yeah, I think training safety and training etiquette is really important. And yeah, I wish it was more emphasized within jiu-jitsu.
Okay. We had this discussion before, but I really liked it, so I want to have it on video.
Yeah.
What kind of forbidden techniques should be allowed and why?
Yeah, I think for the most part, everything should be allowed because, like, it's not the techniques themselves that are the issue, it's how they're applied. So, like, I let people, like, white belts at my gym, they do heel hooks no problem, but because the culture and the atmosphere of my gym is that of safety, it's never an issue. But if you allow white belts at a gym that they have poor training culture to do heel hooks, they're going to hurt each other. So, you know, I like doing twisters, and I'll do neck cranks on my friends, like, slowly. Like, you know, I'll do, like, all sorts of, like, dirty techniques in a sense, but they're not dirty when they're done, like, slow and controlled. Like, nothing should ever be done fast and, you know, we actually can injure somebody. You know, like, for example, if it's one of my friends, like, I don't know, black belt in my gym, who I'm like Darren, my good buddy, I might do like a neck crank on him. I'm not just like thrusting into it, just like breaking his neck. I'm doing it slow and controlled, and he can tap just fine. He's not getting hurt. I mean, you know, it's on him to tap, but I'm not like, yeah, I'm not like not letting him have time. So yeah, I don't think that for the most part many techniques should be banned, other than things like you know, scissor takedowns are pretty dangerous. But at the same time, I can do a scissor takedown on someone, and I know that it's going to be safe. And if I feel like it's not going to be safe, then I won't do it, or I'll abandon it like as I'm doing it. So, but those things, not everyone has the control and awareness to understand that they're dangerous. So jumping guard too should definitely be that should be banned for sure, because that's very, very dangerous. People break their knees. I wouldn't do that, even if I felt it was going to be safe to do. I still wouldn't do it. It's just like, if someone does that to me, I'll be pretty pissed. But yeah, it's the same kind of thing. If a blue belt or white belt tries to do a scissor takedown on me, I might not like it. But if it's a black belt and I know that they prioritize safety too, like I do, then I don't care, because I know they're only going to do it when it's safe. So it's more about like safe training culture to me than it is about banning specific techniques. It's like, you know, like it's almost like it's like a lot of submissions can hurt people, and you can kind of view like you know, like an arm bar is like a pistol or something. That can, you know, it can hurt somebody, but then the heel hook can be more like a machine gun that can hurt someone too. Either